This episode of the Drone Radio Show podcast is presented by Pix4D, the leader in 3D mapping software for professionals. Pix4D's easy-to-use software converts images taken with any camera to precise and accurate 3D models that can be used in a variety of applications. To find out more, visit pix4d.com or start mapping with drones by downloading Pix4D Capture for free from the App Store or Google Play.
We flew this area to provide them with a survey of that area that is already designated for the relocation, so they can plan all the logistics needed to relocate. Remember, they are going to move from an island to the continent.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 268. Can drones help in the battle against rising seas? Today's guest believes they can. Dania Montenegro is the project coordinator for Flying Labs of Panama. The goal of Flying Labs is to accelerate the positive impact of local aid, health, development, and environmental solutions locally. Flying Labs expand local markets by creating new jobs and businesses that offer robotics as a service and support local ecosystems. There are 24 Flying Labs located in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The labs are franchised by WeRobotics to enable local changemakers who want to build robotics and AI capacity in their countries. Off the coast of Panama lies a tiny island called Carti Sugdub. This island, home to more than 1,000 people, is threatened by sea level rise and climate change, so much so that in partnership with the Government of Panama, the entire community is making plans to relocate to 40 acres on the mainland. Flying Labs has been asked to help in the relocation by documenting and preserving the culture and community design. Using drones, Flying Labs is creating a digital footprint that will guide redevelopment of the community in its new location. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Dania talks about Flying Labs Panama and how drones are helping the residents of Carti Sugdub mitigate the impacts of climate change and sea level rise. Joining Dania later in the podcast is Joseph Mulihausen, head of drone and data systems at WeRobotics. But before we hear from Dania, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. So let's find out how drones are helping in the fight of sea level rise and climate change with Dania Montenegro. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Dania to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Dania Montenegro. I'm the project coordinator of Flying Labs Panama. We are one of the 26 labs that are worldwide, and we are based in Panama City. We have the figure of a regional flying lab for Latin America, and we start working since 2018.
Dania, how many countries do you fly operations?
For Latin America, starting from the south, we have Peru, we have Chile, Colombia just started this year. We have in the islands, in the Caribbean, we have Jamaica and Dominican Republic, and us in Panama.
Tell us about the island off the coast of Panama that is threatened by sea level rise. What's the name of the island, and can you describe the situation?
The name of the island is Carti Sugdub. Carti Sugdub is one of the more than 360 islands that are part of the archipelago of San Blas. The Guna people of San Blas, of the archipelago of San Blas, are the best known indigenous group in Latin America. Due to the lack of space and along with the impact of the sea level rise, caused by the climate change in the last years, many of these island communities needs to be relocated to mainland, to the continent. Talking about Carti Sugdub, this island has a population of over 1,300 persons, and they start asking for the relocation more than 10 years ago. And this last year, we were invited in a project that is led by the BitLab, Inter-American Bank of Development, in alliance with Google Earth. Google Earth organized a workshop for indigenous communities, and that's how we start our relations with them, with San Blas. At the end, we start conversations, and we found, all of us, that we can help them in this process of relocation.
How long does the island have before it's overtaken by sea level rise?
They start facing the problems like 10 years ago. There is a study of a calculations of the amount of millimeters that per year increase of sea level. But right now, with our last visit, for example, we went last October and we got a little of rain. We got like, well, it's not a little. We had like 3 hours of rain and the island was completely overflowed.
Does the water have to evaporate or does it drain away?
It has to drain. The interesting part of these islands were smaller than their actual size. What they do, because the population increased year and year, what they do is like with trash and corals, they mix them to grow and grow and grow and grow the island. They are at the sea level. There's no difference. There's no too much difference. And talking about Caribbean, the tide level, the fluctuation it's slow. It's low. It's no more than 1 foot or 3 feet. But at the end, due to this climate change, they are suffering a lot in the rainy season. And Panama has just 2 seasons, the dry season and the rainy season. So as I told you, my last experience of last October, when it started raining, all our toes were below the water. So there are not good conditions to be inside that. And they have to wait the water to evaporate and drain, both of them.
How did the idea of using drones come about? And what will the drones be used for?
What we did for first, we mapped the island to show them like, okay, this is your island. This is the amount of houses that you have inside the island. It's overpopulated. And we have some meetings in advance, and they ask us to fly over 7 areas of interest in the mainland, in the continent, the area they will be relocated. And this is how we are going to help. We flew this area to provide them with a survey of the area that is already designated for the relocation, so they can plan all the logistic needed to relocate. Remember, they are going to move from an island to the continent. They are used to have their boats just aside their house. So there's a lot of things that they have to take in consideration now that they are going to move. And we say, okay, we will deliver you the ortho sites of your area. We will deliver you some measurements that you need to organize the planification and relocation of all your community. And that's what we did. We went to that area. We had a community engagement. There is a committee leading the relocation initiative from the community. It's all integrated by the community. They selected that area. We went, we flew all over the area, and we processed the data. We had our first workshop with them to present results and to generate and analyze the information that we have so they can obtain all the information they need.
Tell us about the area that was selected for the relocation.
They have an area already designated for the relocation. It's named Barriada. Totally, when we flew, are 43 hectares, the area designated. And this area has a school that is already built, but they need to finish and activate the school because the school is not working right now. They also will have like other services. They will move entire from the island. They have to move the health center. They will move the health center. The government is leading also this initiative, and they will build the house. They will build like the village with a plan they have, but they need to organize their community.
What drones did you use to map the island?
We use some drones from DJI, and we plan our mission with Pix4D capture. No, we make all our planning with Pix4D capture, and we process with Pix4D mapper.
Did you facilitate the community meetings as well?
Yes, we facilitate the meetings with the community. When we went, the leading committee, we first met them at Panama. We had some first meeting to organize. And then when we arrived the community, we met the rest of the team. We have to ask permissions, the normal permissions that you have to ask every time you're going to fly. But when we went to the comarca, we need to ask authorization to their authorities, to the cacique. The indigenous, they have a congress, and we have to ask permission. We ask in advance, but when you arrive, you have to report that you arrive and that you are going to start a mission.
How does the community feel about having to leave their home?
They are happy there is a solution, even in terms of culture, their traditions. They are a little worried about that. But this community is very well organized. They have a lot of professionals, and they have been fighting for this more than 10 years. And even if the house they are going to receive are not the house they are used to live in, they are not traditional houses, they will live like in the regular houses that other Panamanians live. And they are not used to. They are so worried about what's going on the island that they are willing to receive and move and be relocated due to the climate change. So they are worried, yes, because of how it's going to be this process of transition, but they are happy because finally it's going to be done.
In addition to the school and the hospital, what else did you map for the residents?
This is interesting. They have common crops, common parcels of crops that they share. They were interested in area as the rivers, the delta of the rivers, thinking in the access for the new village. They were interested in the port, the main port they have also, because they need to build more infrastructure now that they are going to be at the continent. They were also very interested in the parcels of the crop, and this is in terms of establishing their boundaries. They do not have the limits of the crops per person, even if the product at the end is for the entire community. These lands have owners, and they want to start this process of establishing the boundaries.
Is it the intent to duplicate the exact layout of the community?
I think they want to duplicate some parts of the island. For example, due to their traditions, they have specific places where they share, where they have a common place where they celebrate the meetings. For example, they need to have this space for celebrating their meetings. They also have spaces for having some traditional dance. For example, the school they have actually is small because it's in the island. But right now at the village, at the continent, they already have a school that is bigger than the other one. And it's going to be in a different area and need more complete school. It has more classrooms. So they want to have the same traditions, but at the end, it's going to be a little different.
How long did it take your team to compile the data?
Well, due to rain, we were supposed to have 2 days of flights. But due to rain, the day we arrived, we just made 1 hour of flight. And the next day, we decided that we were going to fly everything. And we start at 7:30 in the morning and we end at 4 o'clock p.m. You can say like 8 hours.
Was there something about the island that your team learned or was surprised to discover?
This area is a touristic area, San Blas, but not this island. This island is where the people live. But when you come for tourism, most of the time you don't visit this island. So we learned a lot. We were very surprised talking about the boundaries. As I explained you, this island is over coral and garbage. For us, it was a very interesting experience. We were very worried about the wind and conditions because we were flying October. This month, we have the heaviest rain in Panama. And we had the experience of that. The Saturday, we were not able. We just made one flight, the best of all for me, if you ask me, because it's of the island. And we did it about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not normal to fly at this time, but the island is so small that we use like 10 minutes or less. 7 minutes was the total duration of the flight of the island. And that was the only job we did talking about flying. What we did all that Saturday was like, we remake our plan because we were having a plan on mind, but when we arrive and we make some survey and say, oh no, we have to change this, talking with the leader of the community, we reorganize everything. And that's why the next day, Sunday, we were able to fly the rest of the areas of interest.
Is the project finished or is there more work to be done?
We want to do more flights. We think there's a lot we can do in terms of facilitating them some data, orthomosaics. Now that they understand with the last workshop we celebrate last March 10th, they were with us. We share with them how we process what we can obtain through the softwares after we process. So now they have a different point of view and they can ask for more. And we are very interested in helping them, giving that support to supply all the information they need to organize their relocation. So I think we have at least 6 months more of work.
How has the coronavirus affected the work plan?
Actually, we are working by teleworking, but this situation gave us the opportunity, or we are spending a lot of time in rethinking our strategy. We are working a lot of the plans that we want to do. There's a lot that we have to postpone, but we are reorganizing everything. We are working in the next steps with San Blas, for example, with this project with Carti Sugdub. And on the other hand, we also are preparing some proposals for the government. Here is a Secretary of Technology and Science, and they invite us in a call. It was an open call to propose some quick response to the COVID effects using technology, and we propose some projects.
Dania, in regard to this project, is there anything that we missed that we should talk about?
This relocation process is complex and requires careful planning, and that's why we are thinking in using the drones. Personally, we don't have experience from other places, but it's well known that this process of displacement and relocation very often ends in a process for their impoverishment. So this has to be based on a holistic and comprehensive plan to ensure that this new location has culturally appropriate housing, services, employment, and economic to allow the community to reconstitute itself. The most important part of everything is that the Guna community, this is the name of this indigenous community, the Gunas, they are participating fully and actively. And they are very interested in keeping this going. So we think this is a good opportunity to empower them. This is our main goal at the end, to empower them, to have a community of Gunas pilots that can follow up everything. So they do not have to call Flying Labs every time they need to fly. No, that's our main goal. we will do with them, and at the end, we will teach them how to.
WeRobotics is the creator of Flying Labs. And joining us now is Joseph Mulihausen of WeRobotics. Joseph, tell us about yourself and about WeRobotics.
Yes, hi, my name is Joseph Mulihausen. I'm the head of drone and data systems for WeRobotics. My job consists mostly providing support to the Flying Labs network, helping them carry out their projects, also creating support material, organizing webinars with experts, and so on.
Now, do you handle the data for all of the Flying Labs?
Yes, WeRobotics, we handle everything for the network, so the support is global.
What did you do for this project?
With Panama Flying Labs, I actually visited Dania and the team a couple of times to provide training, in-person trainings. We had drone flight trainings, we had data processing training on Pix4D Mapper, and recently we had another fixed wing training. So my role and the role of the drone and data team was to build capacity and transfer knowledge to the Panama group.
You know, a lot of people use Pix4D. What do you like about it?
The first thing is that it's been around for a long time, has a proven record of providing reliable and robust results. Some would say it's considered the gold standard in drone data processing now. So that's one of the reasons. Second reason is that you are able to provide different types of outputs. So they have different products. Pix4D Fields, for instance, is more specialized towards vegetation and agriculture, and it makes it quite easy for users to be able to create outputs for their applications in agriculture. Pix4D Mapper is kind of a multi-tool because you can use it for multiple applications, but the main reason is the robustness and reliability of the results.
And for my final question, Joseph, what was it about this specific project that attracted WeRobotics?
So we advocate for local expertise. In the first place, this is why we have a network of local experts called the Flying Labs. One of the reasons for this advocacy is because local experts would have a much better knowledge of the local context. And Dania explained it when discussing about the indigenous population, the community engagement that they conducted, her understanding of, the social dynamics in place. All those things are things that, as a global organization, we would have trouble understanding if we didn't have this local expertise. So that's really something key. The second one is about using drones for helping the community. So that's what we've been doing with the network. And this is a great example of a small island where purchasing satellite imagery or conducting an aerial survey might have been too expensive or taken too much time, where a drone can shine and provide very quick results and data that help decision makers.
That's it for episode 268 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Dania Montenegro and Joseph Mulihausen of Flying Labs Panama and WeRobotics. I want to thank Dania and Joseph for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Flying Labs Panama or want to connect with Dania, check out the website at flyinglabs.org/Panama. If you're interested in learning more about WeRobotics, their website is werobotics.org. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.werobotics.com. podcast.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.